Staying with national sporting matters, this time with the football team. Bafana Bafana will face South Sudan in their second Afcon 2025 qualifier tomorrow afternoon at the newly renovated Juba National Stadium. They play to a 2-2 draw with Uganda in their Afcon qualifier opener, while their opponents tomorrow lost 1-0 to Congo in the other Group K match. Sunday Times sports editor and columnist Bareng-Batho Kortjaas, or just BBK, joins me now. Very good evening and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Good to be chatting to you once again. It seemed like South Africa really missed Ronwen Williams and also far too many chances in that first half.
Good evening, Vaylen, and to you viewers as well. I mean, I think you've summed it up very well there when you especially talk about the fact that the result is a draw. Indeed, we did not lose. But it is important for Hugo Bruce and his men to get our campaign on this 2025 qualifier for the Afcon back on track. And this means starting on Tuesday and making sure that they get a victory against the South Sudan team. A South Sudan team that has only won 2 competitive matches. They've only started playing football and being in FIFA since 2012. They're trying to break a run of 6 games without a win. It's the first time between the two countries. Indeed, whenever Ronwen Williams is not the last line of Bafana Bafana or even his club football at Mamelodi Sundowns, it is a concern. And we saw on Friday night that Hugo Bruce perhaps should have or could have chosen not to be stubborn and trust Vaylen so much, given the fact that in the squad that is selected, amongst these goalkeepers, it does have Sipho Chine, who has been playing competitive football since South Africa has gone on this extended, comeback because of what was happening with the league and the new sponsor. China has been playing in the MTN 8 for the quarterfinals. He's been playing also in the CAF Champions League for Pirates. He's a former goalkeeper. He's helped them to get into the final for the 3rd consecutive time as they are chasing a hat-trick. Indeed, the mistakes that Vaylen committed sort of like spoke to a man who has not only been off form for some time, but this is evidenced by the fact that even at the last half of the season, last season, Edna Mazulu, he lost his number 1 place and at some stage was also dropped from Bafana. I know that he is a very important figure in the squad in terms of being a leader, in terms of moral boost and everything else. But in these instances, perhaps we should not go for things that are not going to help us get the kind of results that we want on the field. Now, what next for Bafana? You have to go and win. There are no 2 ways about it. We need to get back on track. Since we are trailing now, we are on the 3rd position behind the group leaders, Congo as well as Uganda, and the 2 South teams are 3 and 4. It is important that we do what we fail to do, which is starting to become a persistent problem, Vaylen, for Bafana Bafana. We need to convert. Creating chances is not a problem, but we fail to show this ruthless streak, especially when we're dominating opponents, because we get those goals going from Elias Mukwana, we get them coming in from Apolis and from Lyle Foster, who's always a welcome comeback to Bafana Bafana. By the time these guys got their chance, it could have been 3-4-1 and they would be trailing. It is something that we have to nip in the bud. If it means that we need to try maybe a different combination, Foster remains your guy who leads the front line, but perhaps maybe you want to look at Ikram Reyners coming in as well, and also trying to make sure that you create something that is going to be a bit of a surprise, maybe a Jaden Amdams coming in, and making sure that we do not concede. I think I liked what I saw in the combination of Dudley and Ngezana. Although Ngezana will always have those moments where he puts your heart on the throat, but I think that there is some development that is happening in his play. I don't think you want to tinker too much with the team. Maybe make sure that you convert the chances that you create, and they will be happy with 3 points, which will take us to 4 going back to the next round.
Yeah, certainly a lost opportunity for South Africa at the Orlando Stadium, playing on natural turf and at home. They now go to a stadium where there's artificial turf. And besides the fact that you say they certainly are the favourites and that South Sudan are not necessarily a team that know each other well, that have got a winning culture, they're on a long losing streak. It is going to be difficult in those conditions. And then you've got to throw in the fact that they're playing midday tomorrow. It's going to be over 30 degrees with massive humidity. How will the South African team adapt to that and the players?
You adapt or die. I think that we cannot use the fact that the Juba Stadium which has a capacity of 10,000, is going to be a problem because it is on an artificial surface. We should have learned by now. We played on artificial surfaces before, and not recently against Rwanda when we went and lost that game at 2-0. And you find a situation where if the victory is so important, there's no need for us to have anything that is pretty, that is pleasant to the eye, fancy football. We just need to go in there and just get the results, whether we win ugly, as long as we come out of that with the 3 points. Again, perhaps there are other question marks maybe in the midfield, but where you look at whether Bruce is going to persist with Usiphelele Stole, who also was not the strongest as we've come to know him in that game. Is it a question for him to start with Bareng-Batho, who was able to get the goal? We need to be able to ask for more from William Fukeng, the king of the 2000, as they call them in the streets, to be able to create that magic to bring things in. I don't think that there's a lot that is broken. This team has been doing well. This team has been reviving itself and getting itself to be loved by the nation in as well, coming on the back of what they did at Afcon and given the fact that they've gone through this result of not tasting defeats. I think Hugo Broos needs not to shy away from making hard calls. I think he may want to persist with Uveli in the post. But what if things don't turn out well for him? Then it will be back-to-back 90 minutes. And how does he recover from that? Maybe you want to say China has been playing also in these artificial pitches with the goals of Orlando Pirates. The last game that they played against the Disciples from Mauritania, which they played in Mauritius, could be something that is going to play in his favor. But when it's not broken, don't fix it. But I would insist on fixing the last line of defense.
The last line of defence is going to be absolutely crucial, and I suppose the call to Bruce is to let those players that have had an opportunity in the MTN 8 and in the CAF interclub competitions to actually lead the team, especially when they are playing against South Sudan. And there is going to be a lot of a massive mountain if they don't get a full 3 points against South Sudan, but also to convert those chances. How important is it going to be that the team get the morale back with a victory, but also look after their players and don't pick up any unnecessary injuries on the surface?
You know that what you do is apply your SWOT analysis. We know our strengths. Our strength is playing the ball and playing well, moving forward. We know that our threat is to be able to convert those chances and making sure we open up a lead. The threat that is big, conversely on that, is if we continue not scoring the goals, we are not going to find ourselves in a position to break this team. Now, the confidence will be high because they also want to make sure that they get their very first victory in the group, and the next victory after 6 matches. It's not going to be light. They can be very lowly. They may be wet behind the ears when it comes to international football. But it's something that Bafana Bafana themselves need to try and correct. If they were able to put themselves in this position, I think there's no need that's going to stop them from pulling themselves by the bootstraps and make sure that we get these 3 points, which is something I believe we are very much more capable of doing.
BBK, Sunday Times sports editor, thanks so much for chatting to us here on Newzroom Africa. Good to hear your thoughts.